Hey guys, DJ from PTA. Want to go over winter, July 14th, GOSS. Gonna go over a quick synopsis of the SPY as well. Again, guys, I feel, I'm gonna keep preaching this until we break over that trend line. And there's a reason why I have not moved these lines because I don't trade the SPY, but do take a look at it. But that's the reason why I left these lines. These lines have been on probably the last 10 to 15 videos to show you guys that we're not out of trend yet. So I'm not readjusting the lines or doing anything like that. These are the same trend lines I've been drawing since the beginning. The reason for that is so that you can understand that until we break that line, until we break that trend, we are still in a downtrend. So to give you a quick synopsis on that so you can understand, until we break this line here, I feel we are still in a downtrend technical wise. Now, I haven't seen any fundamentals either to support a bounce or recovery or anything like that. So I know that, the perception may be a little different. Maybe in your hometown, gas has dropped. I know gas has dropped at least about $1 here in Michigan. But outside of that, food price is still high. Things are still what it is. And I just don't see a change. Until I see some fundamental changes that matches with the chart, I always lead with the chart. I always lead it with the actual price action and what the chart is telling me. Anything outside of going short on this, so like for instance, you might have shorted here or something like that. That was a good short going down. Or maybe you was waiting for it to get a little bit higher, a little bit closer to this area, because then I can draw a line like this and say, okay, we've got this trend here we need to break, and then the big major trend. I just try to keep it simple into the major trend. Until this stock breaks this area, I think that we're just going here and we're gonna continue to go down and somewhat in that fashion. And then maybe once we get over this 362.17 area, once we get down below there, then we'll see some momentum leading down further. Or, the other bias is that, hey, it's starting to trend this way. We might get a pullback to here and something like that going that way. I don't know. I don't have a genie. I'm not in the know or anything like that. I play what's in front of me on that day. And on July 14th, we had us a nice little bounce in which created somewhat of a rally. Now, going to the actual trade that I placed, the GOSS. When it comes to stock selection, we look for certain trends, and then also we just keep our beat on what's going on in the market overall. So what I want to do is show you the complete breakdown of like an analysis, both long term and short term, when it comes to a stock that is rallying. So first thing I do is I go here and I start drawing my lines. So like my key areas from that day was 980. I had a $10 area. And then, I draw the other ones just to show you. So this one here was more like 870. We had an 840 area. Of course, we had an area here. If let's just call that 595. Okay, and then we can go further up and find areas as well. But I want to kind of just put you in the mind frame of where everything was and where everything was going moving forward. So outside of that, I want you guys to kind of pay attention to the specific areas that I'm referring to moving forward, so that you can kind of understand, okay, this stock was doing this X, Y, and Z. Okay, so I'm gonna go from what happened on the first day, which would have been the 13th. The day that I played was the second day continuation, which is probably one of my most favorite plays because I know it's typically more market participants in that day, on the second day. And so you get a little bit cleaner move from the initial move. Okay. And I want to go into the third day, which is today, July 15th. I'm going over the 14th, which is my actual trade day. But I want to go over the 15th so you can kind of get an idea of what was going on and how it played all out and why we're in where we're in at. Okay. So step one, we're going to go over the first day real quick so that you can kind of understand the lead up. So if we go back to the daily, and for those, look at support and resistance, I'm going to add in the fact that this was a supply demand zone. To me, it's the same difference. Support and resistance is the same as supply and demand. Okay. So we're going to put our rectangular box at 840. And then we're going to put this other part at 870. So it can clean that area. Okay. So it's same with here. We're going to put this here. Just like so. So that's going to be 980 and 10. So you got 980. Then we got 10. All right. So when we go into this first day, July 13th, you can see right there on that day, this stock did exactly what supply and demand zones do. They go up, break out of the zone. So this was a supply zone initially. Then it went and then it retested it and went further away. That's what made it become a demand zone. So the bias flipped. So when that bias flipped, then you get that directional change. And this is how traders look at this right there. This area here, once it confirmed, it broke, kept going. Okay. That was the day I took a trade that day. You can look at the other video to watch. Right there is where, when it broke, took off, I got in, I think 871. And then it went to about 906, 910, started pulling back, wicked me out for a break even. So I took some off here, wicked out, and moved on. Okay. So that was the first day that it actually moved. Same trade. No different. Supply zone. It was entering out of a demand zone, breaking higher over the break line. So this made me feel very, very confident this stock was going to move higher. Now, going to the second day when I placed my trade. My trade that day was at 1036. So draw a line here at 1036. Paint that green. Same concept. We had a trend line break. Okay. Now it was a little steep, so let me break it down to a 1 minute so it can look a little cleaner for you. But when we look at it, you see that it broke the trend. So the trend line was more like this, to be honest. Put it here. It's more like this. So once I got that break, and some might have did a little bit steeper because of this up and down move here. So when I saw that, that's when I got kind of, okay, this thing got some legs to move. So right here, we just had the same particular move, but just at a lower price at 871. Here I got in at 1036. So again, we had our A, we had our B into a demand zone, pull back up. This created C. Then we had, I like to see that trend line break, and then an entry right here. It went sideways for a while, and then it popped. And then it kind of just did this little number, and then actually took off. So this being on the 1 minute, it looks really noisy. So let's back out. A little bit less noise. Let's back out. Even less noise. So as you can see, somewhere here, and I always look at like maybe a cent or two below the open. The open price on this was 1047. So my area was actually 1045. Remember, guys, I like whole numbers. 1045. So looking at that, you can see that the stock never closed below that area. Now, that was confirmation that I want to go higher. Okay, so it's treated basically. This is a supply zone, $10.980, and then it kept ripping, and then this became the new area, A, B, and then moving up, going higher. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is understanding why that stock didn't close. Now, I know it wicked down, I know it broke down, but it never closed below a key area. Okay? When a stock does not close below a key area, then that lets you know that the stock wants to go the opposite direction. It has a desire to go the opposite direction. Pulling out to a 30-minute looks even more cleaner, because on the 30-minute you notice it never broke a previous low. Didn't break it to about here at 1084. But by this time, you had a nice reach up into the 1158s. Now, looking at the chart, another key area was 1135. And this was off the daily. So let's go back to the daily so you guys can see that. So let me get rid of this line for you here and here. Scroll back out to the daily. Push right into 1135. So I end up taking shares off at 1127. So 1127 was my exit. Let's go here. Make that red. So that was my entry. That was my exit. So we go back down to the 5-minute. You can actually see how the stock slammed just before 1135. When it hit there, I ended up getting out because I seen it just rapidly moved up to 5 minutes into that price zone. Then it pulled back and then ripped above. A lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't get the top," because it actually peaked out at almost 1160, which would have been a great move. But again, you want to get the bulk of the move. I mean, I got the bulk of the move, so that's what made me feel confident about it. So if we circle back, you see how this area, 1135, you see how it ripped higher from this area. You see how I rejected it there. And then this is the area that it broke out from as well, just like this 1250 area. So the areas and zones pretty much tells the story. So when I saw this, another thing that I saw was that this was a supply zone, a very large one at that. Why? Well, if you zoom in on this day, you see that there was a long candle. So it was a lot of buyers that stepped in on this day. So what I do is typically draw me a area so that I can know or be aware of that area. So this area became critical based off of here. So what was the low of this candle? That was 1101. The open price was 1180. So 1101, we'll just call it $11 and 1180. That's your zone. That became a supply zone. And you see that the stock struggled in that zone on that day. So going right here, looking back, planning off of support and resistance probably would have been a better area to actually buy or get out because it was hitting a zone. So the proper would have been a $10 bounce into 11, a dollar move. And this is a big supply zone. So it can stay in here for a couple days, maybe a week, or it can just kind of break down. I think anything below 11 is a short. Anything above 1180 is a long. So if we get 1180 break, bounce, and retest, it's definitely going to 12. Or if we get a break down and retest of 11, we definitely can come back down to 10. So you can kind of understand your zones and areas and have it already drawn out for you. And the stock, oddly enough, because they're respected and understood by traders, They respect these areas, and that's how they trade. So this overall consensus of how the market was moving on GOSS was kind of like something that you can pretty much predict and understand that, hey, this stock wants to go higher or this stock wants to go lower. And you just wait for those key areas to either get in, get out, or to break so that you can actually see a nice move. So again, this would have been a purple for an entry day hold. Remember, 1036 was my entry, 1045 was the hold, and then it went to my first profit taking zone, which was 1135. I got it off at 1127, and it went a little bit higher, and then it slammed. But looking at this and seeing the zone, it's just accumulating in that zone. So a great short on this one would be a below $11. And a great long will be above 1180 with a hold and then a break. Not enough range. So if you get a really tight stop, a 5 cent, 10 cent, and then you can easily go from 1180 to 1250. That's a really good move. It's a 70-cent move, so it'll be a 7-to-1 if you got a 10-cent risk. But looking at the chart, you can see that, hey, it can probably get up here, and then you might see some rejection in this area. So those more long-term shorts would probably start gathering into this 1250 area, adjust for a wick out to about 1280s, maybe 13. You might get a push up here, but as soon as they load in and you start to see it crack or bend over, it can take out 1250, break down 1180. They add, continue to add on the fall, and then let it wash. That would be a great short play. So I see more upside on the short side than I do on the long side right now, just because of this zone here. So this to kind of give you a breakdown of what was going on in the chart, so you can kind of understand how to read these charts to make maximum plays, make maximum moves for yourself. All right, gang, if you have any questions, concerns, leave them in the comment section. If you got a stock that you want us to go over, let us know. Leave it in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss none of the videos. And we're trying to keep up with the content because we are getting a lot of feedback from off our Discord. Again, guys, Discord is completely free. Go in there, join the community, get you some free information on how to become a better trader. And hey, guys, as I tell all young and old traders, stay studying and stay focused.